So, on a coaching call today, I was talking to a client and we were talking about this one aspect that I realized is one of the most important things for recovery. And here's the thing, addiction really boils down to this one simple concept. It is so much about short-term pleasure versus long-term happiness. Short-term gratification seeking, wanting that quick fix in the moment, wanting to feel good right now versus long-term contentment, fulfillment, and being happy in the long term. And this is what addiction really is, right? We want to feel good in the moment, even if it means making our future miserable. We want the cookie and the sugar now. We want the porn and the masturbation now. We want to feel numb, to feel excited, to feel distracted now, even though we know we're going to have to deal with the consequences in the future. Maybe the consequences are a couple hours from now, maybe they're in a few days or weeks, or possibly the consequences are coming a few years or more down the road. But what's happening is we end up prioritizing our present moment feelings and sacrificing our deeper happiness and contentment of our future selves. So for example, with porn, some of the long-term consequences that we are heaping onto our future self are things like relationship dissatisfaction, screwing with our dopamine system and our ability to take joy in simple pleasures, issues with our self-confidence and our self-worth, developing procrastination habits and not making meaningful progress on work that we care about, increasing our appetite for distraction, increasing our objectification of women, poorer focus and the ability to do deep work, also possible sexual performance issues like erectile dysfunction, and on and on and on. There are so many long-term consequences that might come from our porn addiction, but instead we are focused on the short-term gratification. We want to feel good in this moment right now, and we don't care about what it's going to do to our future self. So in order to recover, we have to start prioritizing our future self. We have to start caring about what our future self is going to experience. We have to care more about real happiness and long-term happiness than we do about short-term pleasure. And let me tell you, it is not easy. I will be honest with you. We are hardwired to seek short-term pleasure. We are hardwired for pleasure in the moment, in the now. We want that quick fix. We want the sugar in our mouth. We want the sex in the moment. We want the pleasure, the excitement. And so how to break this cycle, we actually have to be intentional about doing this, because left to our own devices, left to our physiology, left to how we are evolutionarily hardwired, we will continue to prioritize immediate gratification in the moment. But we have to be smarter than that. So there's a few things you can do to help you get connected to that long-term future, the long-term happiness. The first thing you can do is to simply get clear on how fleeting and unsatisfactory short-term pleasure really is. To ask yourself the question, to what end am I doing this? When will it actually be enough? You can also just get curious about how you feel after really indulging in the short-term pleasure. So to practice mindfulness of how you're feeling, what's going on in your body and in your mind. When you binge on that bag of cookies, do you actually feel better? You might feel better in the moment, but if you keep paying attention, if you keep that mindfulness up, you'll notice, I'm starting to feel kind of sick. I also feel kind of bad about myself. I feel gross about my actions. I feel, low self-worth after I do this. So to really notice, how unsatisfactory these behaviors really are, that can actually help you unhook from this trap of just seeking short-term pleasure and thinking it's going to fix all your problems. The second and probably more important thing you can do is to really get connected to your future self, to really start to have a relationship with your future self. Like, who is this person in the future? And do you actually care about them? And you can build up that sense of caring about your future self. So one of the ways I talked with my client today about is doing a loving kindness practice, doing a well-wishing practice for your future self, to envision yourself in the future and wish yourself happiness. Take 10 years in the future, 5 years in the future and say, hey, may you be happy. May you have deep and fulfilling relationships. May you feel content. May you have healthy habits and behaviors. To actually get connected to that vision of yourself in the future. There was some interesting research, some social psychologists started studying this aspect of how can we connect with our future self. And they actually had the participants go through this software where it would take a picture of them and it would turn them into an older person. It would do some AI functioning and turn them to an older version of themselves. And seeing yourself as an older version of yourself actually helped these people make better long-term decisions. It helped them invest money for the future and make these healthy, long-term, skillful decisions. And so that is another way you can do it, is to actually envision yourself as an older person and develop that sense of care for your long-term self. The third thing you can do is to understand that it's all connected. What I mean by that is short-term gratification, pleasure seeking. It's all the same on a neurological level. It doesn't matter if it's with porn or with sugar or social media or, wanting someone to validate you at work. That pleasure seeking, that craving for feeling good is all the same on an underlying neurological level. So in your life, can you start unhooking from that need for pleasure? Can you start living with a little bit more renunciation and saying, oh, okay, I don't need everything to be pleasurable every single moment of the day. I can go without this. I can go without that. I can start being focused on things that provide more meaning to my life, more satisfaction, like genuine satisfaction, not the short-term pleasure satisfaction, but a sense of accomplishment, a sense of doing the right thing, of working on projects you care about. Renunciation is a big part of this, learning how to just unhook from needing things to be pleasurable, have all the creature comforts, to not overload yourself with pleasure all the time. So that is it for today. Just a short one, but just such an important concept to notice that so much of this recovery is about this balance between short-term pleasure and long-term happiness. The more that you can tip the scales on the side of long-term happiness and get unhooked from this need to have short-term pleasure all the time, the more successful your recovery is going to be. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I would love for you to support the show by leaving a review if you're able to, and get connected with me. Send me a message on Instagram and just say hello and let me know what you think of these episodes. I love hearing from the listeners. It really means a lot to me. So that's it for today. Signing off. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.